The cabin buzzed with the usual chaos of boarding, passengers dragging bags, attendants rushing between rows, babies crying in the distance, but everything froze the moment a loud crack echoed across the aisle. A 12-year-old black boy named Jordan collapsed to the floor, hands trembling as he clutched his jaw, tears spilling before he could even understand what had happened. He had only been trying to stow his small backpack, his school bag, with a Teddy keychain, when the man behind him, a large, red-faced white passenger, irritated by delays and kids getting in the way, suddenly snapped, shouting, "Watch where you're going." Before the boy could apologize, the man's fist flew forward, slamming into his jaw with brutal force. People gasped, some screamed, others froze in shock, unsure if this was really happening on a commercial airplane thousands of feet above the ground. Jordan whimpered, collapsing sideways in the aisle, blood already visible near his lip. A flight attendant rushed forward, panicked, stuttering something about staying calm while passengers erupted in anger. Yelling at the man who now stood with his chest puffed out as if punching a child made him some kind of hero. He needed to learn respect. The man barked, claiming the boy had tried to steal from his bag, claiming he felt threatened, desperately throwing out every excuse he could invent in that heated moment. But recording phones were everywhere. Dozens of passengers had seen exactly what happened. The boy didn't steal, didn't threaten, didn't do anything except exist in the wrong aisle at the wrong time in front of the wrong person. As Jordan trembled, trying not to sob too loudly, a calm, older voice from first class spoke. Enough. Every head turned as a tall, black man in a charcoal suit slowly stood from row 1. He walked toward the aisle with a quiet authority that made even the loudest passengers go silent. No one recognized him at first. Silver hair, glasses, a leather briefcase. But something about him radiated gravity. When he reached Jordan, he knelt with surprising gentleness, checking the boy's jaw the way someone checks a fragile wound. Then he stood and faced the attacker. "You struck a minor without cause," he said, voice low but steady. "Do you understand the gravity of that?" The man scoffed. "Who are you supposed to be?" The stranger reached into his jacket and removed a thin, badge-sleek, black, unmistakable. "Judge Alexander Grant," he announced, "Federal Circuit Court." Gasps rippled through the cabin like a shockwave. The attacker's smug expression evaporated. Even the flight attendants froze. Judge Grant turned to the crew, his tone shifting from gentle to commanding in seconds. "This is no longer a customer dispute. This is a federal assault committed in interstate airspace." Passengers recorded everything as the judge ordered the flight. Attendants to preserve video evidence, assure the attacker remained seated and away from other passengers, and requested immediate medical attention for Jordan as soon as the plane landed. The attacker tried to protest, shouting nonsense about self-defense, but the judge shut him down cold. "Every camera here proves otherwise." Jordan trembled as the judge assured him he wasn't alone, whispering, "You're safe now. I promise you that." As the plane continued in tense silence, everyone on board could feel it. Justice had already begun, because the moment the judge stood, the balance of power on that flight shifted forever. But nobody on that plane knew that the real shock would come after landing, when the judge brought the full weight of federal law crashing down on the PSECs. But when the wheels touched down and the plane rolled to the gate, the atmosphere was electric, passengers whispering, flight attendants. Pale, the attacker sweating through his shirt as Judge Grant coordinated everything with calm precision. "No one leaves until law enforcement boards," he instructed, and the crew obeyed instantly. The doors opened, and federal air marshals stepped inside, heading straight not for Jordan, not for his mother waiting outside, but for the man who punched him. Judge Grant presented himself formally, handing over his badge and the compiled evidence, multiple passenger videos, statements, timestamps, and his own judicial report. The attacker tried once more to twist the story, insisting the boy reached into his bag. He feared for his safety, but every witness echoed the same truth. Jordan had done nothing except exist within reach of a man looking for someone to blame. The marshals cuffed him on the spot as Jordan watched silently, still shaken but safe. And when his mother burst through the terminal crying, Judge Grant gently guided her to him, saying, "He's brave and he'll be okay." But the story didn't end there weeks later. In a federal courtroom packed with reporters and the same passengers who supported Jordan, The attacker stood in chains before the very judge he had unknowingly challenged at 30,000 feet. Judge Grant read through the charges: assault of a minor, endangering a passenger in flight, obstruction, false statements, and with each count the man's face sank further. In a voice quiet but firm, the judge said, "Strength is not in the fist that harms, but in the restraint that protects." He sentenced the man to the maximum penalty allowed, ensuring he would carry the consequences of his violence far longer than the flight itself. Jordan, jaw healing, sat beside his mother, clutching her hand as the judge looked at him and said, "You did nothing wrong. You deserved safety. You deserved respect. And today, the law stands for you." The courtroom erupted into soft applause. Reporters asked questions, activists shared the story, and within hours, the video from the plane went viral worldwide, sparking national conversations about racism, accountability, and the importance of bystanders willing to speak up. Judge Grant returned to his chambers, quietly refusing interviews, but before Jordan left the courthouse, he walked up to the judge shyly and handed him a small handwritten note. "Thank you for standing for me when I couldn't stand for myself." The judge read it, smiled, and said, "One day, you'll stand for someone else." Outside, cameras flashed as Jordan hugged his mother, now stronger, braver, and knowing the world wasn't always fair, but justice existed because people like Judge Grant existed. And as the story spread across the country, one message echoed louder than the punch that started it all: silence protects the aggressor. Courage protects the innocent. Sometimes one man standing up can change everything.